One, two, one, two, one, two. Peace to all my weevil in the house. Peace. I must say it's a rainy day here in the Big Apple. We got the rain outside, my people, but we need the rain. So you see the topic is about tax refunds and how it all coordinates, and you stop studying calendars and you stop living by the calendar. The only time you're really living by a calendar is if you got to go to a job or you have an event or something that deals with a calendar. But if you are studying the moon, then you know that the calendars don't match the moon at all. So, we're talking about tax refunds and the lunar moon cycle. How does it all coordinate together so that you can be right on time to receive what you are putting into the universe? Because that's the bottom line, my people. It's what you put into the universe. So you got to ask yourself, is your moon cycles in coordination with what is going on in the So welcome to the live chat. My welcome, gather in. What can you do? You know what I'm saying about this moon lunar cycle? You can keep observing because you're recalibrating your body and mind to the real sky just by looking at the moon every night and studying the 4 phases of the moon, not what is written on a calendar. That's not the real study of the moon. It's you looking at it for yourself. So ignore the printed calendar. Track the moon yourself for a few cycles. Build your own lunar calendar with study. And it's the same thing with creating your tax refund. Now, trust your senses. So it's the same thing with you creating your tax refund. You have to trust your senses. You have to study and you have to keep observing. So basically, if you're watching the moon with your own eyes, is one of the most ancient, truthful, and grounding things a person can do. You're reconnecting with a rhythm that predates clocks, calendars, and civilizations. That's powerful, my people. Now, what's so powerful about the moon lunar cycle is that you can start to coordinate it with your process. There are 4 phases to the moon, and the tax refund cycle has 4 phases, and it has 4 quarters. So let's look at it as the moon cycle now in coordination with the 4 quarters of the IRS. Okay. Also, there are 4 quarters to a football game. You know what I'm saying? So, my people, you are not alone. Okay. You have to use you have to, like the Islamic and the Hebrew and the Chinese, deal with the 4 phases of the moon. The Gregorian calendar does not deal with the 4 phases of the moon. So you need to put the Gregorian calendar down and put it away. And you need to pick up your own mind and start charting your 4 quarters of the IRS with the 4 phases of the moon. Now, if you're ritualizing your refund on the 4 phases and the 4 quarters of the moon and that deal with the IRS quarters. So they are definitely matching it, matching the quarters up with the phases of the moon. There's a last quarter, and the last quarter we're coming into right now, where most tax refunds have to be released in the final quarter. And September to December is the final quarter. So we're coming in the final quarter of tax refunds right now, which means that soon I think today was the last day to do the 1099s, A, B, C's, OIDs. I don't know, I'm not sure. You may have to check that yourself. But if you are understanding that there's a new moon, there's a first quarter moon, there's a full moon, and there's a last quarter of the moon. So that's IRS is working the quarters, but they call it something different. So if we say, IRS quarters versus moon, you could say versus moon quarters. And basically, it says, you can come up with, they both use the word quarter. So, but they mean completely different things. Calendar, Q3, July to September, Q4, October to December. Each quarter is 3 calendar months. And that's the same thing with the IRS. It's 3 calendar months that you can do a tax return report on your business. So each quarter is to 3 calendar months, and it's 90 to 92 days. Used in business taxes and scheduling. Has nothing to do with the moon, but it does. Moon quarters refer to an angular position of the moon in its cycle, but angular. The bottom line is that if you start to line your phases of the quarters of the moon up with how you do your tax returns, because it's all in threes, you may see a different chain alignment with what you are mathematically doing, because the IRS is dealing in the equation of mathematics. So mathematics is also dealing with the moon, because if you look at the moon is a circular disc and it has 4 quarters. Those 4 quarters are 7 days within that quarter. It's 7 days. So it's 0.25, which is a 7, which shows you it's 7 days. So now, if you work that and fit that into your quarters of a tax refund, you have to start to link yourself into the alignment so that, because it's all magical, the magic is within the quarters, and it's a mathematical equation of magic. So if you start to tune yourself into the mathematics of the equation of the IRS cycle, You know what I'm saying? And then you also combine that with the phases and the quarters of the lunar cycle of the moon, you're going to see a little something different within what you're doing, because now you're going to be in perfect alignment mathematically with the figures that you're putting in the system. Only those that know what that have an ear to hear will understand what I'm saying. And this is not making anything more difficult or more complex. It's just that you to study a little bit deeper, because there should be no reason for the hold on anything that we're doing within the system of a tax refund. There should be no hold on anything, because it's yours and it's mine. It's ours from the jump. So if you do, if you're, filing, it's, you have to file, yes, within the guidelines of the paperwork that is in the IRS. Yes, that is a given. But then there is a higher, you know, dimension that demons must adhere to and bow to. And they must bow to the phases of the moon. Fonts can be different. Just like if astrologically, you know, shit is spinning backwards, and then it affects you astrologically with chart, your birth chart, you know what I'm saying? So it's certain times that you should hand in paperwork, and then there's certain times when you should not hand in paperwork, because it's dealing astrologically. But yes, we must hand in paperwork, but we're going to have to be more strategic with how we hand in the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a higher power that sits over the IRS. Because basically, the people that are in the IRS, you know, they are, I don't really know what they are, but some of them are humans and then some of them are not. Some of them are just machines that process paperwork. So the machine, no, we're not able to, you know, you can override a machine if you have the certain codes to override a machine. But if you override the machine and they find out, now you might end up in jail. So let's not override machines with, codes that you shouldn't even be fucking with. So that is why, to tame the demon, you will have to start to study mathematics and magic, and how to line it up in perfect alignment so that there is no pushback on anything that you're doing. Your paperwork will align with the process that you're putting out. And you're the timekeeper. You know, this is all on you. It's all on you. It's a civil financial timekeeping. It's civil financial timekeeping. That's what it is. And it describes a lunar phase that, if you match it and combine it with your process of receiving your tax refund with no pushback, and that you're following rules and regulations and the orbit of the earth, meaning when you hand in your paperwork, are you sending it in on a new moon? Are you sending your documents in on a new moon? Are you sending your documents in on a full moon? You know, this is what I'm trying to get across is that new moon is new beginnings, new projects. Full moon is when something comes full circle and now it's presented to you and it's in your possession. That is why you, if you were handing in your paperwork maybe in on a full moon, I mean on a new moon, okay, now you have the 30 days, well, not 30 days, but it will get into the office by, at least looked at, by a full moon. Okay, so I hope you get the gist of what I'm saying because my people, it's a football game, it's a scrimmage, okay? It's all how you gonna plan, you know, how to get your package across the 100-yard field. And to score the touchdown means that you've received a tax refund and it's in your possession and you're doing what you will with the refund. And we're not talking about a W 2. We're talking about, what type of refunds we're talking about. So, being that it's a civil financial timekeeping, which describes what we're doing right now, but on a higher level, my people. So if you're sending out paperwork on a new moon, now it's going through the first quarter, okay, then it may go into full moon and we're hitting the last quarter. So 3 months, right? It takes the it takes 90 days, right? So we have 3 new moons. When you send in a tax refund, you're dealing with 3 new moons, 3 full moons, three first quarter, and 3 last quarter. Okay, all of that adds up to 9. So you got 3 new moons, you got 3 full moons, you got 3 first quarters, and then you got the 3 other quarters, the last quarters. So, my people, you know, this is strategy. You know, for those that have received tax refunds over $1 million, great. They will never tell you their strategy. But, you have to look at all these types of strategies because everybody has their own strategy. But I'm saying that the most strategic is mathematical. You know, when you're watching a football game, who's in control of the game? The quarterback. The quarterback is the one that throws the ball to all of the players. Without the quarterback throwing our paperwork in the mail, you know what I'm saying? Sending it out. So if this is a football game, so, you know, the first quarter, doesn't mean the moon is 25% through its appearance, degrees through its orbit from the new moon. A quarter moon looks like a half moon. Confusing, right? First quarter equals the right half lit in the northern hemisphere. Last quarter equals the left half lit. So, it's a lot when you have to do a tax refund, my people, because you're dealing with the math of your own business, your own bookkeeping, all of it. So you're the one who has to put together the strategy. So, you know, I hope that this has been helpful to some people with trying to find a strategy to align themselves, to properly align themselves. Like right now for August, the first is a waning moon and it's a gibbous moon. And August the 7th is the last quarter moon. And August the 14th is going to be a new moon. And then August the 22nd is going to be a first quarter. And then August the 29th, it's going to be another full moon. It's going to be a full moon. So August the 29th is going to be a full moon. So they're saying that the last quarter is going to be so from October to December is the last quarter of the IRS. That's when most people should be receiving a refund if they filed earlier this year and they did a 1040X. Because the last quarter of the IRS is when they have to zero out the books. So you're going to have to see what happens. When the IRS zeroes out books. So basically, it's saying that, so if the IRS is going to zero out the books in the accounting terms, then to zero out the books, it's that they reconcile and close all accounts for a financial period, usually end of Q4. Okay. And then it moves the profits and losses to retain earnings or reset balances. So you see it on Q4. So, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, expects businesses to report this at tax time, often done at the end of a calendar quarter or fiscal year. So that the end of the calendar quarter, and it's the same thing with the phases of the moon, if we're doing it by quarters. Now, if we're going by the physical year, then the year would be at the end of the calendar year. So the IRS, plus the quarter is going to equal man-made accounting time. So you see, it's man-made accounting time. So they figured a way out how to get rich, straight up. Moon quarters equal natural celestial time. So, we might be contrasting the two and a false artificial cycle versus a true lunar rhythm. But if you combine them, now you will have something different. Now you're dealing with magic, which is natural, and then you're dealing with the artificial. So, symbolically, the interpretation calendar versus moon as systems of control. So, some thinkers and observers may be like yourself and me, when we pointed out the IRS and the calendar quarters are tools of institutional systems created for control, order, taxation, not alignment with nature. You see, but we can align it with nature when we understand that it's out of alignment with nature due to its man made control. So, as we the people who are now in control order of taxation in our proper alignment with nature and the mathematics of our business, because we have status corrected, we control this now. So the contrast, the moon, doesn't zero out, but the moon does zero out because it's a disk, it's a circle, it's a 360-degree sphere. Okay, so basically, it cycles and returns, never resets arbitrarily. Well, we don't know how true that is because it does reset. It resets every 28 days. Well, 29 and point something days. Well, it's supposed to be 28 days. So February is only the real month that has the 28 days in it. That's a real moon calendar. And it's visible, felt, and real, not abstract, where the abstract is the IRS. So the moon tells time in a living cycle. The IRS tells time in dead numbers. Do you understand? Dead numbers. So don't they consider people dead? You know what I'm saying? Aren't people considered to be dead? So I'm going to say it one more time. The moon tells time in a living cycle, and the IRS tells time in dead numbers. But it's we, the people, that bring the numbers to life because we are the living. The paper itself is probably dead, the numbers that are on the paper. But once it goes into a machine that calculates, those numbers become real and a refund spits out. Now, zeroing the books could mean, you know, erasure. You might be, you know what I'm saying? What we're implying right now is that natural knowledge, like the moon, has been erased or zeroed out by artificial time systems. The true cycles have been replaced by institutional cycles, tax quarters, fiscal years, etc. So they learned how to take the 4 phases of the moon and turn it into a corporation, third party debt collector called the IRS. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the true cycles have been replaced by institutional cycles like tax quarters, fiscal years, etc. So the abstract, you know, or the natural, as they've taken the natural of the moon and made it abstract and turned the moon into money, because the moon was originally money. When you research it back in, the Egyptian times and go far back than that, in the Sumerian swindle. So the systems don't reflect reality, they replace it. You see what I'm saying? The system of the IRS really doesn't reflect reality. It creates a monetary reality based on the cycles of the moon. Okay? So, you know, what we mean is that timekeeping and economic control and the disconnection from the natural world. So, the natural world, where the moon was the timekeeper of the quarters, of planting and everything, the IRS took that system of the moon and made it a 4-quarter bill collecting system, where at one point it was only them getting rich off of that system, and anybody that has a W-2, that's all they would ever know is to receive back is from the W-2, because we were never taught how to, file other types of tax returns. So, the more studying you do, you'll see that the moon is money. It's all based off of the moon cycle. The whole IRS system is based off of the moon cycle, the Mooney cycle. Now, this is modern timekeeping, economic control. So this is what we, the people, have to study, because we are the timekeepers of the economic control right now. We are the economy. So you need not to have anybody sitting over your economy. That's why you have to status correct. So, the IRS zeroes out the books every quarter while the moon tells the truth every night. I'm going to say it again. The IRS zeroes out the books every quarter while the moon tells the truth every night. So you could actually plot on your own calendar from the day you send your tax refund off into the mail and from when you electronically file. You can actually plot when you should receive that tax return without interference from agents that sit over your account, blocking you. That is why you have to mathematically add magic to your filing. Okay, of filing, of filing, of filing. So basically, the magic is symbolic and energetic layer to your tax filing reporting. So, yes, we're pointing out the magic and perhaps the ritualistic nature of the filing of the IRS return. So, we can look at some angles, practical physiological and esoteric behind a tax filing report. You know what I'm saying? Now, on the surface, it's just taxes. Filing your return equals giving the government a detailed record of your income, activity, losses, and gains. You zero out the books, reconcile your year, and submit your account. It's routine, but it's also a ritual. Once a year, everyone confesses to the state. What are you confessing? What you've done with your business or every quarter. Now, symbolically, a ritual of control. It's all a ritual of control, my people. If you zoom out, filing taxes becomes more than paperwork. Okay? So the element is a sacred calendar. The tax ritual equivalent is the IRS tax agents. The element is a ritual offering, but the tax ritual equivalent is a payment or refund. The confession of deeds is the element, but the tax ritual equivalent is line by line breakdown of income. Now, the element is Judgment Day, but the tax ritual equivalent is tax day April 15 in the US. The element is the penance or blessing, but the tax ritual equivalent is owe money versus get a refund. Do you understand, my people? The element, there are one, two, three, four, five, six elements that I just said. The elements are sacred calendar, priesthood, ritual offering, confession of deeds, judgment day, penance, or blessing. The tax ritual equivalent is IRS tax year, accountants and IRS agents, payment or refund, line by line breakdown of income, tax day, April 15th in the US, owe money versus get a refund. And that's what we deal with right now because this is a mass ritual. Do you understand? The moon is a ritual. They pull the ritual from the natural moon, and now it's an abstract money ritual through the IRS. The IRS is conducting money magic through the people. Okay, that's it. Okay, now it functions like a mass ritual of submission to the economic order. So, you know, where everything was once natural has now become an economic order, meaning everything is civil, financial, it's all about money. There's no love in money. There's the love of money, but there's no love in money. Okay. Now, the psychological layer, people fear it. We all have once feared the IRS. IRS, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. Yo, you don't even want to steer clear of niggas fucking with the IRS. But there's a group of people that know different. And those are those people who have status correction. Now, the psychological layer, people fear it, obsess over it, delay it, dread it. It's all in your mind, people. It's designed to condition compliance. Am I doing it right? Will I get punished? Benevolent. It's bureaucratic sorcery. Do you understand, my people? It's bureaucratic sorcery. The whole ritual of a tax return is sorcery. So, all those who have gathered in this live today, we know what a tax refund really is now. It's bureaucratic sorcery. Okay? Your hand over your time. See, you are handing over your time, your labor, and your energy. And in return, you may get a refund or a bill or silence. Okay? I'm going to say it again. The magic here isn't benevolent, it's bureaucratic. You hand over your time, your labor, and your energy. And in return, you may get a refund or a bill or silence. Now, if you get silence, what do? You cannot acquiesce. You have to call up and find out what's going on. Now, you may get a bill. Now, you may have to satisfy that bill. And the way I told you before, you would have to go back and listen to my other live that I did 2 days ago. It tells you how to satisfy the IRS bill. Now, you may get the refund because you have conditionally complied magically with overriding psychological layers of fear. Okay? So, when we contrast with natural cycles, you file a tax return once a year. Some people file a tax return quarterly. That's the real way that you're supposed to do it, is to file it quarterly because you want to be in alignment with the moon. But the moon never files anything. We do because we're the flesh and blood person who operates under the moon because the moon sits above us, but then there's a moon also within us. It doesn't owe, it doesn't pay, it doesn't confess, it just is. Let's repeat it again. The moon never files anything. It doesn't owe, it doesn't pay, it doesn't confess, it just is. Because the moon is natural. Say it's a satellite, nobody really knows because nobody's never been to the fucking moon. That's another live. I'm not talking about that. So perhaps you're seeing this clearer now. Okay? The magic of filing your IRS return is false magic. But we are playing the game. So it's real magic to us who actually get a fucking refund. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you never get that refund, then you have stacked credits and you need to go get you a broker to pull those credits down. Now, an artificial ritual designed to assimilate order and extract the value. There you go. That's the broker. So the magic of filing your IRS return is false magic, some say. But we know it's not because we're playing the game. Now, an artificial ritual designed to simulate order and extract value. You see what I'm saying? It's an artificial ritual. They're saying it's false magic, but in our world, it's an artificial ritual designed to simulate order and extract value. So we're extracting value from the moon because the moon is money. It replaces true magic when we extract and simulate order from the moon. That's why you have to conduct your alignment based upon the four phases of the moon. So you would have to do your refunds quarterly. Watching the moon wax and wane, planting by lunar phases, living in rhythm with your body and breath. Want real magic, my people? Try filing a return to yourself. That's what we do, right? We have to pay ourselves, right? What did I create this year? That's a question that we ask ourselves. What did I destroy this year? What did I withhold this year? What did I give freely? Those are four questions when you're doing your tax, when you're putting it all together. What did I create this year? What did I destroy? What did I withhold? What did I give freely? That's the real accounting, my people, not the IRS, but to your soul. You're paying your soul, which is you, your inner self, who has never been paid. So, how in the world can they hold that back from you when you are the soul behind and under the moon, which is the money to live here in the physical? Now, this is a personal lunar based ritual system, the IRS. Only those that study the phases of the moon, what I've just told you, was only secret. Now you know. Okay, I released it to you. You heard it first here from the United States, private enterprise free state, my people. So, we're building personal lunar based ritual systems when we're doing a tax refund and return. That's the basic bottom line. That's the real accounting. The accounting is to our soul. You know, you want real magic, you have to pay yourself. The filing a return to yourself. You're filing a return to yourself. You're filing a return to yourself. So, yes, you can borrow from yourself, but you have to know how to do it right. Because remember, we have demons from hell in the IRS that is holding niggas up. You know what I'm saying? So, what did I create this year? What did I destroy? What did I withhold? What did I give freely? So, my people, you heard it first here from the United States, private enterprise free state. If you want assistance, questions, 407 300 5377. Stay up, stay one, stay strong, my people, and I am out. Peace to all my people in chat. Peace, Abdullah. Peace, Maya. Peace to all my other peeps in the private chat. Give me some ones, give me some likes, because I just dropped it. I just dropped it. Smash! All right, my people, I'm about to get on up out of here. Stay up, stay one, stay strong. And I'm out.